Boy, this song finished quick. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Airship 2.6. This is James True speaking, and I'm pretty sure that about to turn on the, it should be that you should now hear everyone in the room. Hello, Renee. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you, James.
Fantastic.
Hi, everyone. You guys, can y'all hear us out there in chat world?
So I know the room works, but yeah, it would be good if we did a quick check. I'm working on a temporary on my laptop now and just doing a setup there. But yeah, we'll find out really quick if the people in chat can hear us talking. But I'm like 99% positive.
Yeah, Lauren said thumbs up. She's like thumbs up. She must be kind of what's going on. Oh, yeah, we are good. Sounds like we're good to go, James. We are up in the air. Hello, everyone.
Okay, great. Yeah, Gender's giving us the yes. Hello, yes. Welcome all to Airship 2.6.
2.6.
Live from Portland. Good to see you guys. I've been out here for almost not quite a week. Feels like 3 years, but like in a good way. It's like so much has happened, you know, where you've gone through a lot of movement. So it's a portal land. It's a pretty cool place. We had a skating party. That was pretty rad, right? Renee was there.
Oh my gosh, it was so grooving. It was just all the different ages and all the excitement levels. The people who you know would go there every weekend and just it's their lifestyle. It was just really fun to be in that and just going in circles with them. Really fun. Good physically too. It's good to feel yourself on wheels. It really is.
Yep. That's some of the cleanest energy I've had in a while. and I would like more of that, please. That is some good stuff. So.
Yep, Lauren likes Portal Land. Yeah, it is a Portal Land. You know, I've lived here for my whole life in the Multnomah Valley area, and yeah, it's such an interesting town. There's so much that goes down here. I mean, we even had a show, which I was like, why is there a show about Portland? But you know, you as James has mentioned, this is a very esoteric city, and I think Miguel mentioned that to you when you were here last, right, James?
Yeah. Yep.
You were like, whoa. And I was like, really? You know, to this more. And so much history here. Really came together really quickly, this city. And I think that's what the mystery is. Like, how did this get built so quickly and in such a, the level of quality? I think that's what the discussion is, like, how it came up so quickly. In the early 1900s, I believe. I'm going to be not so good on the facts, but there's definitely some history to seek through and find some hidden treasures for sure in this town, as is in every city, really. You know, but we're a port, you know, to the Lewis and Clark, you know, came out through here, and they were collecting salt and seaside on the coast there. And so there's a lot of history with just crossing this country, as Columbia did, to you know, just kind of claim this land as this new America.
Yep.
You know, from sea to shining sea. And yeah, so it's as you can tell, I love the northwest part of this country. But I've been to so many different parts with you, James. We went to Rhode Island, I went to Tennessee, just North Carolina, just such beautiful parts. We were just talking about how I'd love to go to Florida. I've never been. I don't care what the reputation is. I've just always wanted to go down there. So it's interesting how we, like, some places we just cancel because the reputation.
Yeah.
You know, so that's interesting to me too.
Yeah, I was blessed, I think, growing up in the South, because the South has sort of a bad reputation, or at least it's usually the lowest man on the totem pole, kind of respect-wise. And so I always dreamed that, oh, things are so much better everywhere but here. And then I had the opportunity of traveling a lot, and I was always like, actually, it's just a lot of hype. I mean, you know, this is here and this is there. And so I think it allowed me to find treasures in the rough more. And the South is just so much more. There's all the mounds are over here, all the Civil War history is here. But truly, every town is an esoteric treasure box. You know, all these people coming in to live in a single place. It really is its own mound. Every city is really a burial mound, and it's for a different kind of giant. And those are giants that we don't even necessarily like to even give credit for it, you know, being us, as us being the wise people that, with moon eyes, that learn to see things and bury their treasures in the ground. So.
Yeah, gosh, we got a full house here. We have Brad, Lauren, Lisa, Lori, Pi, Zerolith, Annie. We have got a full house in the green room. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? This is so great to see y'all. You don't have to answer. I'm just looking at all the cool people in the house.
Yeah, but you could. Yeah, if anyone else wants to say, it's a great time to test your mic, say hi, stuff like that.
Hi, Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hey, James. Good to hear you.
Oh, hi, Lori. Yeah, we got Annie.
Guys.
Hi.
Fantastic.
Oh, great. Look at this. We got a lot of action in here. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. What a week. What a week it's been.
I just wanted to hear how everything went. You know, I live vicariously through others. So I was happy to hear that you guys had a good time. So
Yeah. I think, like all the events, there's always interesting energy around it, and then when you actually get time to where everyone just finally gets together and you just begin, then the mystery tour begins. Everyone gets on the bus, and it was just a really, really great time. It's learning how to schedule these things is not schedule like time wise, but learning how to create the itinerary and agenda for these things is always an interesting creative endeavor, because some people would only participate if there was like an itinerary, if there was like a very specific event to be at, while other people would only participate if it was more transitory, if it was more malleable. And I get both of those people. Like I totally understand why some people would want the regiment, because it gives you confidence to know, well, yeah, at 6 o'clock I'm going to be doing something. So if you feel any kind of nervousness around being other people, if you show up at 6 o'clock, you have more calories, you have more electricity because you've been formally told to be here at 6 o'clock. And if anyone that's ever had social anxiety, maybe you'll appreciate this if you've never looked at this before, but I think this really is why we have times to come. This is why we tell people that there's a certain event. Additionally, though, I really want the flux to occur because I don't want to try and have a hermetic gathering and then tell people, well, at 9 a.m. we're going to discuss God, and then at 9:30 we're going to discuss evil, and then at 10 we're going to discuss, right? I mean, we're going to lose all the good stuff when we try something like that. So it's a delicate balance between those things, I think.
And I'll say I think they're both needed. Hey, everybody.
Oh, hi, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
Like into the mic. I'm sorry, like into the mic. But yeah, I think both are needed because I feel like I'm not good at scheduling things at all. And it's like, but you talk about the skating and the flow state. It's like I can show up in spades for that, but I won't plan anything. And it's something that, like I said, I just think is necessary. My daughter is very good at it. My son's just like, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can get in the flow state easily. But you know what's funny? My daughter, I think, gets into her flow state, and people like that when they are planning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The planning is the flow.
But anyway,
yeah.
I was just saying, I definitely think you both, because it's like that's something I don't even know if I can learn to do that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like to schedule things and to plan things and things like this. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I love to try the skate party. Y'all have fun out there, and it did make me think there. It's been so long since I've skated. But it's like swimming, like I say, being on wheels, right, Renee?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's a freedom in it.
You know, I've been working on with listening to my body for the last 5 years, so I can tell that my core has really gotten a lot stronger. And I have to say, hula hooping is a big help. I think we can go back to play and then really find our footing better. But we kind of get back into the kid play state. It's it's challenging for adults to like kind of get there, but gosh, it just moves you so far, and it just raises the vibe and kind of brings the young and the old part of you together. And it's great for your kids to see that. It's really good for your kids to see you play.
Hey
earnestly.
Guys, I'm going to stop for just a second to resolve some technical issues here. There's an echo that is popped up, and I don't know if I just fixed it. Please just bear with me for just a second. Anon is telling us that. And if we just wait for the legacy to come back, he might be able to type that the echo is gone, or he might say no, it's not gone. And either way, we're gonna figure this out. But just give me just a few seconds here. We'll see what if the echo's gone. Maybe you guys could say something again.
Okay. Am I muted? Yeah, I'm talking. Is that still echoing and on?
Hey, Renee.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Lisa.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
How's
good to
it
see you.
going? Yeah.
Echo, echo, echo. Eugene's good. It's been rainy. Is it rainy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real damp up here.
Okay,
Lots of
that's good to know.
rotten.
Anon's saying that it's not me, and that's really all I care about. But it does mean maybe somebody was muted, and no, it is still echoing. Okay, I was hoping maybe it was someone in the Zoom room, but it. Okay, now it is. Oh, that's so tricky because people are behind. The lag in the stream is behind. If this does not work, I think what we can do, guys, is just keep the Zoom alive, and we'll just shut down the stream, and then we'll just have a good conversation, and then we can upload that later. But I do appreciate the opportunity to try and start this. Seem to start when the screen changed to show the speakers. That is good to know.
Good catch.
This is good data. Anon, I know his real name now. I think that yeah. You guys, I think this might actually work, but I'm going to need you to say a few things.
Okay. All right. I'm talking right now. I'm talking. Hello.
I hear you talking. I hear you talking, but you can't come in.
Oh, that's great, Lisa. Yeah. So Anand's going to tell us right now if this new configuration where the speakers are not showing on the screen, if he can actually still hear you guys, then we are good to go, and we will. It's fixed. Okay. Great. Thank you for that patience. Sorry about that. Yeah. The I want to. There's also another element I'll tell you. So first we said that there were, and if anyone else sees an echo, let me know. But it should be thanks, Amel. If not only are there people that would want the extra confidence from having a schedule, and not only are there people that would only come if there was not a schedule, but there's even another kind, which is the people that are like, I need to be provided every single bit of this experience, sort of more of a hand-holding kind of a thing. And this event turned out to be esoteric, and I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. We've tried and say, guys, a lot of the details of our gatherings are going to have to be inside Patreon. It doesn't have to happen inside Patreon, but it's going to need to happen behind a sort of an esoteric curtain. Because if we publicly say, here's this gathering place, I can tell you firsthand, Renee can tell you firsthand who comes to those events. And when the moment that you put a little bit of an esoteric curtain behind it, it really filters out a lot of energy. If you have to somehow do a little bit of work or calories to come hang out, I think it always pays off. I guess I would argue that if there's any area it doesn't pay off, it would be in ticket sales, because you're not going to get as many people to be able to come to this. But overall, if you can create an atmosphere like that actually does have that sort of exclusivity, it really creates a much better gathering as far as for all the communication to flow and the autonomy to flow. So it's a delicate balance to find all three of those, because all three of those, I think, are valid points that bring people to us. And you just want that perfect mix where you hit all of them at the same time.
Yeah, it's a very Venusian energy. You know, you're really wanting to set a table, set a tone, set a stage. And it just has to, you got to come in with the right vibe. You know what I mean? And I think it is a good filter to make it. You got to work to get yourself to set up the situation to be in alignment to come.
Yep.
And a lot of things get filtered out just because a lot of reasons. But ultimately, I think just having that be a bit of a more exclusive kind of gathering just makes everybody relax a bit more. Quite frankly. It's a little more relaxing because it's a great range, it's a great variety. It's not that people are, it's really universally available just with the right vibe, the right, you feel it, it's a beautiful way to kind of just, play out how you would gather, what is your well, what kind of well are you providing for people to come sit and gather, and collect the water. And it's, and the casualness is nice too. I really like that we went and hit a couple thrift stores. We went for a hike. It was just like, what should we do? And there was so much we didn't do, which is what's great. There's so many other things to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we're just starting, and cities, I tell you what, if you start going roller skating and meet some cool people, and who knows what you can create in your own town, I think it's a bit of James and I have been talking about Xanadu for a long time. I mean, I think when we were starting the Rhode Island event, a lot of it was roller skating themed, right, James? And then it kind of turned into that other gathering being more of a, potential with other people speaking. But initially it was really roller skating.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was where we were aiming. So it's really kind of fun to see that hit 369 in 2025, to have it really like ring in as like, hey,
yeah, there's a good lesson in the exclusivity. Like it really is a sign that you've gathered enough wealth of pride to where you can apply a filter to that. And so when you're starting out, you would want to be accepted by anyone, so you would have an open door policy. And then if you raise enough calories, you might reach the point to where you can close your door a little bit and only letting certain people in. And really for us, for the gatherings at least, I think it's a matter of just building a trust between a band of merry pranksters, because once I can smell you, I want you to participate more now that I can predict where your smell is going. Like, this is just called friendship. We learn who we are, and we know what each person can bring, and then you're able to enable that versus setting up a system that's kind of like, if anyone shows up, then everyone's going to be part of the dynamic, which is fun, I guess, but it also really does lead to a regulational state that could be way outside the ballpark of what you would even want to do. So again, it's a coveted kind of gathering. It's a smaller kind of gathering. And I think ultimately this is the only way to do esotericism. In fact, it's built into the definition. If we were to expose all of these things, if we were to be constantly making sure that every single person has a pamphlet or a handout, or that we're passing out and hitting every car in the grocery store with little flyers telling people the secrets of the universe, it would simply mean that the new secrets of the universe would have to be created on top of that, because the esoteric idea really is finding the people that are willing to seek more, and then choosing them as your own brethren, as the people that you're aligning with too. So it's a natural filtering process that creates a community just inside of that veil kind of place to be. We've got some hands up over here, I guess.
I just wanted to kind of throw this in really quick. When you said wealth, well is in wealth. So the well, I like that. Well
yes.
is in wealth. Yeah. Hey, we got Lisa with your hand up, Lisa. How's it going? What's up?
Hey.
Hi.
Well, let's see. So Friday, I was involved in a pretty long road trip, and of course I knew about this event 369 for a while, and I toyed with all sorts of different ways that I could try to do it. I was even thinking about this today. I tend to be pretty spontaneous. I'm kind of a homebody. There's a lot of things that take up my attention here at home, and to actually put myself into a situation where I don't know anyone, I've not met people, it is kind of a little bit scary, and I think it was also awesome, first of all, just to be able to see how tall James True is. He's much taller than I anticipated, and to have walked by and have Renee recognize me on the sidewalk, that was really cool. And I grew up as Lisa, so to have her call out my youngest childhood deepest nickname was really awesome. And then walking into the restaurant, folks were dining. This was prior to meeting at Airship on Friday, and of course, there wasn't a seat because it was already established. The meal was midway or coming to a close, and Renee was going to walk to Airship, and it was just really sweet, and I felt like I was walking with somebody that I kind of knew and certainly admired. As I've come on here, occasionally I'm kind of new to the James True train and just hooking on my little train car.
Yeah.
Anyway, the esoteric nature of it, having it be kind of like the heretic guy on the roller skates, like that was really cool. And, we were all so passionate and longing for some kind of a t-shirt. And I remember having an idea that it would have been fun to have everyone bring a t-shirt that they made and then like trade or something. But what we carried away from it was this sense of belonging. Like after, I was in and out. I couldn't stay. I'm on workman's comp right now, so there wasn't enough a budget for me to be able to spend the 3 days or 4 days. That would have been super cool. Anyway, it was really magnificent. And for those of you who weren't able to participate, I'll just say as a witness that got to pop in and out, it was really something. It was something to feel the vibe of physicality and to be amongst people who are willing to relax and I think generally I know, at least for me, I can speak personally, that there's been such strange ways of human relationship that have evolved over the past 5 years that it's hard for me to just feel accepted, and to be able to speak a little beyond all these weird political places that people are, like getting off on anger and hate. And like, I really want to lean more towards like, yeah, okay, that can all exist, but there's also this other way we can be, and just like to listen and to be quiet and to feel and to munch on food and to sit comfortably and to have hula hoops and to, stretch out our legs and take our shoes off and go out back and, look at the moon and smoke a little ganja. And, I mean, the whole thing was just like, dude, I could do that every night. I really loved it. And I crept back in because I was a little cold, and I picked up a guitar and I played guitar for the first time in so long. And that coupled with the ganja, I was like, what strain was that? Because it really just opened up my sensorial nature for music. Anyway, so yeah, I think the esoteric thing is cool, and I won't keep going on and on, but I loved meeting everyone, and just being appreciated and appreciating everyone, and most of all, to hug James True twice. I got to hug James True.
Yeah. Oh, it was so fun having you. And I was kind of setting some stuff up in the back or cleaning up, and Lisa was playing a song, and I'm like, this is happening. This is happening. It was just so beautiful. And the backyard was great. Yeah, we had so much fun.
Yeah.
Lori. Hi, Lori. I see your yellow hand is up.
Hey. Hey,
Hi.
Oh. Hey, I was with you guys in spirit, and
We felt you.
I just laughed hysterical when James was talking about his feet gripping like monkey feet on the bottom of the skates, because I really wanted to go. I just have this art show, and I just couldn't get the time.
We'll have another one.
Yeah.
But I love Portland, and one of my favorite places is Isetti Ranch, which is about an hour in Washington State. Just like going up that gorge with all those windsurfers flying in the air. I just put myself into that land of bridges where I've gotten so lost so many times.
Beautiful.
So, but the skating, I just related to the skating in this flow state. I live like this dancing thing. I don't know. You kind of watch my little reels where I shadow dance with myself.
I love it.
Going around in circles with dancing, which is very much like skating. So as I do it, I guess it's like an esoteric ritual. It's like, I think skating rinks are cleaner than dance halls, but to do the ritual magic at a place where you're doing that,
Yeah.
dancing this resonance. And so I look at going to do these play dates with myself. And sometimes I have partners that want to play. And that's kind of cool. The co-creation of a dance is amazing. And I don't know if they called out couple skate or did they, lights out or whatever. I don't know. I just had so many memories of like having so much joy and fun at skating rinks. And so, I'm just like, I was with you guys, and I just understand it's so good to be on here and listen to Lisa's story about, and I just wanted to add that I was one of those people that wasn't with the James True Tribe, found James on YouTube, listened to YouTube, the James True live stuff, and bought a ticket to 5-5. And I showed up with like everyone knowing each other. It was like a giant clique, and no one knew me. And it was the weirdest. I thought Nome was really like, part of the Iroquois Confederacy, something, and that he was the fire chief, the fire keeper. And I'm like a big, I'm a ritual person. I'm like, I was like, I said, you're not that. You were. You're an actor. You. I was like so lost. Much fun though. I actually I was with another person that also came through via YouTube. We bought our tickets and everything, but you didn't know who I was at all.
Yep.
And so here we are, and she would not go to that park event. And I'm like, what are we doing hanging around in this boring Airbnb? I'm like, let's just go to the park. I'm like, what are we waiting for? And I remember having these weird experiences with all these people that like imploded after 5/5. And I would be like, they wouldn't let me get into the circle to talk at all if they were talking with each other. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Zarelef was the only one that was at all like receptive. I had a reading with him, and it was funny, and I laughed. But it was a very interesting experience. And James, you are like I wanted to smell you when I met you, and I was like, I remember leaning down and saying, I need to look in your eyes. Are you really real? And do you remember me doing that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I leaned over and I was like, and then when the spontaneous part was the funnest part, when you guys started playing soccer with the big beach ball at the park. And I was like, oh yeah, this was real. And so anyhow, I just kind of imagine how it evolves into now, like what it became in Portland. So I'm glad to hear more stories. It was.
Remember we played red light, green light at the park in 5/5. Yeah, that was super fun. Yeah, just that the play is such a a lot of people. It's hard to play. People are really stiff. They don't know if it's allowed, and so I can compassionate people who can't play, because I remember I've always been kind of a player.
Yeah.
But I can see why it would be hard if you just practice not exactly hopscotch, Annie, exactly. A jump rope. I love, people twisting the rope and you go in, and it's, just any kind of play. It's so good for us grown-ups, and it's so good for the kids to see. Thanks, Lori. Oh my gosh. I got to meet you at 5/5, and I can't wait to hang out with you again. Cannot wait. It's been so fun. Hi, Brad. Or James, you want to respond to any of that?
Well, there's even more magic to Lori, because Lori went on Airbnb and looked for a place to rent, and I went on Airbnb and looked for a place to rent, and they were the same place. And I don't just mean like we were in the same house. Like this unit had a open shared house living space where each bedroom was kind of its own Airbnb, and Lori was right next door, and that was the first time we met. And I actually feel bad because I don't feel bad now, Lori, because I just love you. But at the time, I felt bad because I was nervous about getting ready for the morning. I was having a little drama with my aunt, to be quite honest. And so coming out of the gate, I was like, okay, well, I got to get this. I got to go get some coffee. I want to go over here. I want to practice this and do this and do this. And there you were. And I wondered, I was like, man, I wish I wasn't so cold. But it's like, I got to get this going. And I haven't met her yet. But it always felt to me, and always has, that was fate bringing us together regardless of the event, if that makes sense. So it's like we knew each other before you even got there. And that event was so, a lot of crazy energy was there just from all over the place. And I noticed that I wasn't really even sure what I was supposed to be doing. I know that I talked to as many people as I could, but we even found out in the end that wasn't even necessarily right. There was a lot of, when you get energy when you get that many people, it really gets hard to keep it in a salon type setting. We'll say that. We nailed the salon type setting this time. There wasn't too many people where anybody could feel shy, and it was just enough to where everybody was pliable with where the conversation would go and what would happen. About the only regret I have, which this will always happen, is you don't necessarily know when the peak moments of events are going to be. And it feels like when we went for the walk at Mount Tabor, that was like one of the really peak events of that. And that wasn't something that we could invite anyone to because none of us knew it was going to happen, right? It just happens. And that's why if you try and create a regimented kind of a schedule like that, you're going to miss it. But additionally, I've learned that it doesn't require me to be there for there to be an even better event happening, which is when, 3 people go out to breakfast or 2 people go thrift shopping or 4 people are talking about something else. So I don't even expect to be the center of that so much as I can just take props knowing that these things may have happened around my orbit. And, I'm literally stealing the prana. I feel responsible for that. And it's one of the most creative things you can do, I think, is host a setting like this and watch people come together. That's a very special kind of art that I don't have a lot of practice at doing. But when it happens like this, it's really, really exciting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was just a really good balance. And, there were some times we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And, Sarah had mentioned she came down from Seattle and she wanted to go thrifting. And I'm like, that is one of my favorite pastimes. So we just hit some great shops. And, even meanwhile, I went to pick up my daughter in between and came back. It was just a lot of moving around. But, that city has a lot to offer and things are pretty close. So that's nice. There's a lot of different ways to go. And all cities have this. And kind of what I hope is that, to kind of embrace this vibe and maybe take it to your local roller rink and just see who you meet. It's very Aquarian right now. People are out and they're mingling and they're seeking and they're kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, and the snakiness of the year of the snake, the Chinese year of the snake. So, we even got that, supporting us as we all get more embodied.
Yeah.
On the roll and on the wheel and the circle and the wheel of life, really.
If anyone out there is feeling the FOMO of this or anything else, it really is I can't think of a more powerful exercise than to take yourself roller skating. And I don't think that you'll find it's uncomfortable at all. I think all the uncomfort will be you talking yourself into getting in the car and going. And if you really want to do it right, I think you should smuggle music in. Bring your own music. Take yourself on that date because you are going to frickin' have fun. And you're going to notice that there's a lot of esoteric adults out there that are skating. I was surprised at how many bright-faced 5-year-olds that probably are in their 60s. That you
70s.
You could see them right away. And it wasn't, I don't just mean like a few anomalies. I'm talking about the whole group. There was one dad who was skating with his kids, and you could just tell that dude was just at the pinnacle of his success, right? To be here roller skating with his kids. You could just tell, like, this was his let's go drinking. This was his let's sit down and watch a game. Like, and nothing wrong with those things, but it's like, it was really happy for him. You could tell he had found that perfect flow state.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Brad, you've had your hand up. You're getting tired, Brad? Can you push the mute button?
I've been
Can
holding
you
it up
talk?
for so long. I think I had to switch hands there for a minute.
Oh, I
went
love
left
it.
and right.
Hi.
Well, I think sounds like y'all just did a great job with it up there, Renee. And I do think that that's why you do, to your point, need a curtain, it kind of funnels out, the people who maybe aren't there for the same reason, and also, well, that's the thing that's interesting that you give this, that you do the Airship, James, and you let people get a chance to speak. I mean, that's imagining how most of y'all met each other for the first time, and when you see each other in person, you have, you do kind of, the people you're speaking to,
Yeah.
And that's really cool, and that's I think it would be different if you just had the channel and then people met you for the first time just through your work, and that it would create a different dynamic. So there's something beautiful about, I think, the space that you have created in that sense.
I'm getting the band back together. It's like that. It's like I'm always getting the band back together, I'm always like, get in. We're going to go places and do things.
And it's just great because it is fun. It's just flow. And, and that's talking about dancing and roller skating and everything else, like, and what Lisa, you were saying before about the feeling that we all had about not connecting with people, right? And initially you feel this sort of outsiderish sort of thing, but over time, I'll just say a game or fun that I've been having, because you also speak about seeing people at the roller rink who are surprising you in a sense of of their connection to the flow state. And just in sort of everyday world, you know what I'm saying? Going out, used to, I came out very, and I have to appreciate that was part of why I was getting the reactions I did. And it's understandable because we all go through it, but I was very aggressive many times when I interacted with people who talked about normal things, you know, like mainstream stuff. I would let them know very forcefully what I thought. Whereas the fun I've started to have with it is to not challenge them. Well, like you were saying earlier, James, about you on the interview that you did with Carmen, saying that you do have to meet people where they're at. You can't insist that they come to where you are.
Yeah.
And when you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're on it.
Okay. When you do meet them where they're at, there is room to play there. And you're not, like, I'm not as threatening to them because I'm not coming out as harsh, and I'm also not insisting that they go all the way, you know what I'm saying? But they do surprise me in a sense of what I'm saying is like there's good humor there, there's good and it's not like, again, as you know, you're not changing their mind like in some big way. But what did you say earlier about you just offering sort of the tow rope, if you will? Yeah.
In fact, just to catch people up if they missed that, I was suggesting that when you first get into truthing and conspiracy, you're going to want to sharpen your sword and prove how vorpal you are and effective you are at making an argument. And so you'll samurai your way through the bamboo jungle and earn props and rescue people that are caught in lies. And so there's nothing wrong with this. This is great stuff. You're learning the ninja ways, the samurai ways, and then you start to do this wise man role. You start to play with the energy more. You no longer care whether or not the world changes underneath your thumb. And I think part of this comes from understanding the world is actually doing fine. It really is. If you could truly believe that, then you would naturally relax. And instead of fighting people, you would start to regulate them. And so I was suggesting that if you did feel that it was necessary to lead someone to a more conscious awareness about something, that truly the only way you could do that would be through regulation. So you would need to match exactly where they are, find their exact level of enthusiasm that they have about a certain topic, and compassionately, truly, honestly, sincerely feel that with them. Go there and feel that. You haven't started to regulate them yet. You've actually regulated to them. You've shown them that you have the flexibility and the calories to go to any kind of frequency that you can. And they recognize you as being very generous when they see that you are there with them. So at this point, you become brethren with them. If you can find more enthusiasm than they have about this brethrenship, so you've come to their level and you've found their enthusiasm, and if you can find even more, this is where you actually start to regulate, because you would establish yourself as the leader of the passion. If someone else is very upset about Musk and you could come in and you didn't want to say, hey, don't be upset about Musk, he's this, or he's a cosmic Heyoka clown or whatever, you're stealing someone's meat. There's meat there that they're chewing on, and that chewing on is Musk is a fucking fraud. And guys, he's a fraud, okay? I hear you. So this is just an example. But if you're seeing that and you notice that this person maybe is losing calories over this, then this principle of regulation, going to exactly where they are, compassionating them completely, and then applying your abundance of calories to feel that even more, is how you remove a fish hook. You are pushing the fish hook deeper into the skin with your enthusiasm. And only then, I think, can you effectively pull that hook out. But you're only going to be able to pull it out if you can replace the dilating meat, the appetite that they had, by being upset about Musk, and replace it with something better. So the regulation only works, I think, if you really have a viable alternative, a different view that offers the same or possibly just slightly more, but really not too much more dilation. Once they see that, you're explaining to them that you validate their appetite to know more. You validate their appetite to find and seek the juices of life itself, but this is just a more constructive way of savoring the drips of truth that come from these things versus just hating on the system as it is now. This is complicated energy work, and you're only going to be able to do that, inside of a cloistered environment where it's not just an open policy magic circle. You're going to want the esoteric veil. You're going to notice that gives you even more magical power because you've entered into a hermetic agreement with others. And the fact that everyone is hungry for the same thing makes it even more pliable, where people can change their posture, hear different suggestions for different positions on things, and really just come out on the other side with just more calories, because really that's all we really want others to have. We don't need other people to agree with us, but if other people had more calories, they simply would be more generous, and then you yourself, because you're next to them, you would be able to dilate or drink from a larger plate of consciousness, so to speak.
Whew. That's a big plate. That's a big plate.
Yeah, this is
And if I may
parenting.
add real quick, that to me that is kind of selfish too, and I'm okay with that. You know,
Mhm.
it's like the desire to expand the consciousness in the room is a selfish thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And there is a moment when you become, when you've been knighted by Gaia, you feel more righteous. And when you feel more righteous, you might find that here's a group of hyena, and you have a desire to righteously smite them in an effort to change their role, to change their mode. And again, I think it's harder to do this when you trust the system, because the system of Gaia, including all the bureaucracy, including all the lies, is really doing this work for you while you sleep. While you sleep, these people are slowly learning a different kind of algorithm that leads them to the same place you are now. In fact, if you feel it's necessary to wake someone up, you really are suggesting that you would have needed someone to wake up too, and it probably came down to just you. Probably came down to you sitting in a park or looking in the mirror or staying up a little bit longer just staring at the ceiling and just having these own thoughts yourselves and coming to a different regulation all on your own. Because once you teach that, then you don't have to teach anything else, because the person just naturally will regulate to where they find more calories. Excuse me.
I love thinking about that. I just love pondering that. Sometimes I get lost in where I am in that thought, but it's a really lovely road. Just how much to kind of impress yourself. It's more about impressing yourself and kind of what moves you're willing to show on the dance floor, of this stage run of Gaia's skin. It's just so dreamy right now. Hi, Zarelith. I see your hand is up. How's it going?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm glad the conversation made this turn, because I've had some really good thoughts on this. Because in my drive streams, a number of them I've spoken of, because this fits right in with comments that I had inspired by one of James's recent streams where he brought up criticism of Mark Passio, and so that hits home for me, because one of the other networks I'm super tight with are guys in the One Great Work Network. I'm a person who interviewed Mark Passio in a lost interview from about 10 years ago. And 2014 he was he wasn't like how he is now, right? Because he kind of went to a certain advanced level, and then now his advanced level is alienating and isolating on a certain level because he kind of forgot about what's needed for for the unconscious masses, the ones that his Satanist enemies call the dead. We're trying to, quote, wake the dead. That's what we're trying to do, just to crack into starting that illumination process, right? To take your power back, right? Now, Mark doesn't quite see, I think, what is a much better way to see it, to attain those goals. James, you do, right? Because I think if people like Mark, saw that, and not with asking them an argument to change your end, right? Because I personally think that Mark's end would be something that we would all like after everybody's had enough conversation, which is involved with Mark's end, right? But he has to understand how much these people need, right? We gotta still care about them. We know you have an important statement to make about being enthralled in satanic habits, right? This is the way Mark is, right? But he's at a level that he handles how people fail him differently than James does, right? Because James is 5'5", Mark had his own 5'5" fallout, and so that's my compassionation for Mark, is that he had the same kind of fallout with his plans because he was surrounded by a bunch of people that were blowing smoke up his ass, right? And so an emotionally tough place. So I made a few streams about that, and so I've been thinking about that a whole lot, about where the world would need a certain kind of infrastructure that's a better system of getting you fucking healed and getting you off the addiction of healing. In other words, being well-adjusted and capable of growing and developing and raising small people to grow and develop in healthy ways as well. So I just wanted to open that space up. Thank you so much, James.
Yeah, right on, man. I don't know Mark's work well enough to know how he's helping or how he isn't, or even if he thinks that the world needs help. I get the feeling he does think that everyone's really fucked up and stupid, and that he's the intelligent one, among others, but that the key is to obliterate the ignorance and make people less stupid, I guess. But I have a hard time buying that because he won't discuss natural law with me. So it's just diminishing returns discussing him. I don't really know what else to say. I feel if he was sincerely wanting to really look at natural law, he would have discussions with people that challenge those ideas. I don't actually see that from him. I do think, though, that he has a lot of passion. And I think his name is Passio, and I think that he's not really here on this earth to prove truth or to fix our understandings of philosophy. I think he's here to exercise passion. I think that's what he's here for. And passion doesn't require truth or being right. Passion requires conviction. And to find conviction is really about prosecuting something. And so I see a lot of the prosecution. But this is what I meant by you're going to train as a samurai, you're going to train as a ninja, you're going to want to throw some gherkin and use those cool swords and do things like that. And this is a great way to spend life here. I think it's more of jousting. It's closer to being in the law, where you might think that you go into law to find truth, but no, you just go into law to sue people and convict people or prevent people from being sued or prevent people from being convicted. It's just a giant joust pit. And that joust pit is where we test our mettle. It's where we test how much conviction our ideas have and don't have. And more importantly, it's where we exercise our passion in front of an audience, because the audience will feel that our passion is greater than theirs. And so we would regulate into that kind of feeling, which I think is one of more gritting of the teeth. And I just personally, I don't want to be around people that are gritting their teeth. But I think that a lot of people do want that because they find each other there. They find trust in people that are exercising red belt enough to know that they are not facades, that they truly are fed up with the world. And so yellow belt, red belt, green belt, white belt, all these places are opportunities where humans meet each other. And because I trust the system, I just want to see people meet each other. So if there's a mash pit, if there's a fire circle, if there's a roller skating party, I'm like, yeah, that should be the case. It should be all those things. They should all be separate. Sometimes they throw napalm at each other because that's fun too, you know. It just brings more brethrenship too, even when you watch these groups kind of go after each other. Ultimately, I think every group's right. Ultimately, I think that they're right because they're finding each other in these spaces. And when you find someone, you're not gonna be able to unregulate yourself from them. The more you hang out with someone, the more you're going to become half of who they are. This is just how chemistry works, right? So again, another reason why, if you can afford to create an esoteric curtain, you really can afford to tune your own vibe, your own group, and to set the new level about where we want to vibrate and where we don't. And this is tricky work. It's, if you want to take a grown man roller skating, he's going to be concerned about whether or not he looks silly or he looks humiliating when he's doing it. Not just when he's doing it, but when he talks about doing it. If he wears a shirt that he says did it. All of these things would be pranic load on a circuit that doesn't have a nice grounding to it yet. And this load is not something I want to fix. This load is exactly here so this person can learn to rebuild their circuit at their own time, in their own pace, with absolutely no hanging sword of Damocles that says you're going to fail if we don't fix this right now, or all of us are going to die if we do not liberate. Things like that are really good energy for that appetite. And I don't think that there would be any other answer but Mark Passio to find those people and allow them to find each other. But in order for you to move, not you, Zairlis, but in order for someone to move from Passio into James True, is going to require like a gigantic chasm of calm the fuck down, smoke this, sit back, look at a sunset, at least for a year, because you got to get that salt out of your system so you can start tasting like a lower, a more subtle kind of Brussels sprout, you know. The spinach has a very different flavor than the nacho cheese Dorito flavoring. And this is, again, this is where we find each other in the style. I don't think I have the right style. I think that Mark Passio has a lot more audience than I do, and that part of that audience is showing you the true timbre of where most people are, that they do have that more kind of abiding appetite. And so those kinds of restaurants are going to do a lot better on the Strip. They're going to find a lot more people. And more importantly, it's going to be, I think, frankly, impossible to create a formal esoteric curtain behind that just because there's so many people that want to show up. So instead, you end up with gatherings where people find each other underneath that umbrella, but then create their own mini esoteric umbrella. And again, that's fine for me too. So all of these systems work. All of these things lead to us finding each other, which ultimately is part of the great work. So ultimately, the anarchy is here, it is rocking, it is kicking ass, and all of us are blooming, even if we do nothing about it right now.
It is rocking and rolling. It is rocking and rolling. Yeah.
Well, I do want to let you know, James, that, there's a lot with the people in the One Great Work Network. Maybe you won't be able to get an argument in, or a discussion, a discourse on natural law with Mark right away. But maybe one day you'll get an opportunity to do that with one of the guys that does his Mark's lesson plans and is the kind of guy that actively talks about it. And
yeah, but why would I want to, Zairlith? This is something you keep bringing back to me all the time. You're like, hey, James, look, Jason Brashear said this, or Mark Passio said this. And you said this the other day. It's like, James, all you have to do now is convince Amon Hillman that Mark 14:12 works this. And my question to you is, why do I need to convince them? What is it about Mark Passio that you feel that if I would to embrace that or go there or spend all my time watching his grit teeth content, that would help me? What is it that you think that I'm lacking exactly that needs to be resolved?
Nothing. I just think it's an important conversation for the in the public discourse.
Right, but Mark doesn't want to have those conversations. Have you noticed that though? Like
I do notice that.
Okay,
That's
good.
why I was mentioning, the people that are in the network that do.
Yeah, but if they're in that network, I think that maybe they want to look like they want to have those conversations, but I think it would be hard for them to even have those conversations because of the militant attitude about anarchy and about natural law, which is pretty strict there. It really does say, look, you don't be coming in talking about parasitic relationships or slavery or how upperly mobile these things have been, or even just transcendentalism in general. We're not going to talk about any of the American philosophers. We're going to come at this from there's an objective reality that has an absolute truth, and this absolute truth and morality are the same, and that the only way to get there is to insist that no one ever do anything else except for live life this way. This sounds like fascism to me. It doesn't sound like natural law. It doesn't sound like philosophy. It sounds like passion and conviction about fascism that is colored in a way that someone who doesn't think about philosophy might want to believe is natural law, but actually is just natural fascism. Even the words natural law are an oxymoron. And I've been waiting for more people to notice that, but I don't think people do. I don't think that they have realized that law is a facade, that our entire law system is based on, I want you to believe that this is here, even though it's not actually there. Like the system of justice itself, it's certainly trying to do things, but there's nothing intrinsically right or just about our justice system. Like one out of every 4 people who are murdered under capital punishment will later turn out to be innocent statistically. So this is not a system that where we're like, there's no way we will ever murder innocent. I mean, it's all it does is happen. Meanwhile, we're saying things like drugs are legal, but they're not. They're not. Now you have to have papers to carry houseplants. So the system itself insisting that law is somehow like, I think sometimes we think that rights are more powerful than they actually are, because rights really are just a majority rule giving you a privilege that they can revoke at any point in time. Below all that, though, is this system of entitlement. And I haven't heard Mark ever address this, but inside of every creature that lives in the world is this breathing energy of entitlement. And that entitlement seems to be really the crux of power in the world. How entitled does a creature feel to survive? Ultimately, this is our guiding light. This is the principle which seems to dictate our behavior absolutely across the board. And we just simply throw justifications in to kind of try and shore up our entitlement because we don't feel that entitlement can stand on its own on the stage.
Yeah, and I really don't have an argument with you on that. That's just me trying thinking it helps somebody.
Yeah,
as the fool that I am. I love you, James. Thank you.
Well, I love you too. Yeah, I hope you don't. I hope that if I've sounded harsher than I.
No.
Okay, good, because I really appreciate this conversation. I'm glad you're bringing this up.
I suffer listening to Mark Passio because I like it. So go ahead, be as harsh as you want.
Yeah, and I don't want to stop anyone from listening to that, and I definitely don't want to ruin anyone's appetite on that.
Not angry sounding though, Zero Laugh, like.
Yeah, I believe Mark is emotionally correct. I believe he's emotionally correct.
I find that
absolutely. I think he has every right to be as pissed as he is, having lived the life that he has. Right? Like I understand the testimony of his history, the amount of work that he put in, the generation and culture. I understand quite a bit about that, because he's also like metalhead coming out of the 90s and things like that, So like I have a lot of relatability to Mark, right? I you know, like, I don't need to get vicious much ever in my life. But if I have to fucking put on a big boy voice like Mark does because somebody's being a threat, I can. I will. I have.
It just seems like he's like that, like isn't he from like Philadelphia or something?
Yeah, he's from Philly.
I'm
I
from
could
Philadelphia.
drive
Listen to me. You
hours.
know, I feel like he's just yelling at flowers, and being from Nebraska, it's like nobody in all the places that you think are not as cool as Philadelphia care about anybody in Philadelphia.
Like, I'll say what I think Mark's biggest miscalculation that kind of threw him off with how he got screwed over was, like I just said, like I kind of understand where it's coming from, because honestly, the way he thought people were gonna come to him when he was doing his messages at that time, right? Because, you know, it's very inspiring. He wasn't yelling at anybody at that time. He was very kind. Right, and all this stuff, he felt like it was necessary.
I look at it more as like I'm looking at it from a bioregionalism thing, you know, just being from Nebraska, like in any of my areas of expertise with vintage guitars or sound or studio things, you know, you always run into this with people on the coasts, or especially like in music, like Boston people just can't get over themselves ever for some reason. It's just, I don't know. It's just this. I'm just used to it, you know. And I remember,
You know, yeah, when people grow up in a city, you know, there's an aspect of the city that is their identity. Like, I don't know quite how much I come off because I try not to feel like I'm from Greenwich, fucking Connecticut. But I'm from Greenwich, Connecticut. You know, it's just like the only person that anybody knows from Greenwich that anybody would say that makes sense because it's Steve would be like Triple H the wrestler. Right? There's not like I go to New York to find like people so I can sit there and like talk about like horror movies and cool bands and hot women.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and to satiate that aspect of just being in the social fold, right? So I thought there were more people that were willing you know, to really be professional adults that wanted to really like organized in a civil manner, and nothing would even have to be fucking violent at all. There was no, you know, nobody was talking about revolution on that level. There was just, you know, we're definitely going to be way more on the, you know, let's run around with guns in our holsters types, right? You know, that's a goal, you know, that everybody, all the ladies, everybody's safe and secure and everything else, right? But at the end of the day, it didn't grow to where it needed to be with those kinds of people because Mark misjudged how people were going to come into it, be receiving of it. Maybe he was so naive to think that he could just be himself and then that would be comfortable for everybody, right? Because I think a lot of people, they work for the agreement, so they make a facade of themselves. They put on the suit, right? He's in a suit, so therefore he doesn't have a t-shirt to be commented on, right? He doesn't have a hairstyle to be judged terribly, right? You know, all these little things, you know, because you're hoping that you're enjoying your life as you, and you don't have to freaking put yourself in a fucking suit all the time, just so everybody will fucking listen to you in a professional and civil manner to make a better world where the evils behind our corrupt fucking system don't fucking rip us apart, right? That's been, you know, my own reasons, and that's one of the reasons why I listen to James, because I find solutions in James's ideas. I find solutions in the ideas that Mark had before it became about yelling and screaming. And those ideas are still very healthy amongst the One Great Work guys, but I'm not trying to fucking sell the One Great Work, because I'm just saying this, Mark's not the only fucking game in town, right? And he won't, you know, like other people will have other ideas and things like that. So it's just a case example that I'm trying to make for the sake of the airship, not to sell anything.
I did a natural law conference, Freedom Under Natural Law, hosted a conference. It's like a weekend-long thing, and they invited me to speak there. And I did a presentation on American philosophy and transcendentalism. And they called it fringe. they said, oh, we're going to have this guy was a very fringe speaker. This was about the only sort of feedback they could have on these ideas. And I really did. I just don't see any. I haven't seen a change in that work. I think Mark says I was a Satanist and then I wasn't. And this is a very general thing to say, and it involves a self-hatred that has to exist. Because when you use such a general term like I was a Satanist once and now I'm not, I was working for them and now I'm not, it's a very personal crusade, kind of a psychological trap where one wants to feel that they've been redeemed. And the redeem is going to give you a lot of calorie boost. You're going to be able to feel better because you've gone through this rebirth. So it's coming to Christ, but with a punk rock theme. It's the exact same path, though. And I do think that the anger that gets shown in there really is the crux of why people watch. And sometimes, Aerolith, I think that you actually fall for just the majoritarianism of it all. That it's because there's a lot of people watching that you feel it's correct, that you feel that there's truth there. And when I point out the flaws that I see around the group, you're always have enough calories and strength. And I admire this, Aerolith. I don't want us to agree. But I find that you're always defending what you don't actually know will come down to when you pull off the hoods off of everyone's face at the end of Scooby-Doo. You're just looking at majoritarianism. You're just looking at mob rule. But the mob has so much power that you want that. And James True doesn't have that for you, because I don't have a lot of people watching because of what you said earlier about facade. You said that Mark would not have wouldn't be able to be himself, or he thought that he could be himself, and he was sorely mistaken. And I don't think that I would be able to do what I do if I was not myself. And so the exact reason why I don't have a majoritarian kind of vibe going on is because of that. It's because of this is just the only way I know how to do this thing versus anyone else. And quite frankly, most of the speakers you bring to me, Brashears is one of them, Passio is one of them, that these people really are just have the majoritarian at their helm. And it's hard to separate it from truth because it's got so much torque and so much like group angst. And that's where all the beautiful people are. All the people are really, I think, at the heart of what makes witness feel like truth. And so it's a good thing because we're finding where the witness is, but we're having trouble understanding and distinguishing that more witness isn't necessarily better, nor is less witness even necessarily a litmus that it doesn't work. That ultimately we have built into us kind of like a regulator, I think, that even shows that if once you start to kind of collect with more than, say, 30 people, the organism itself is going to have to change, and the person at the center of that organization would have no choice but to, as you were mentioning earlier, to kind of have to turn into an archetype, to become a tentpole, to become less personal, and to become more just consistent. So I couldn't just like shave my beard like I did. That kind of thing really throws people off because it's like, dude, I parked under your beard and now you shaved it today. They may not be able to say that because it kind of superficially gives them away, but it's really because we have a shame about how powerful witness is. So we don't want to admit that we're actually here for the witness. So we'll say things like, well, it's the music or it's his ideas. It's really not. I think ultimately it really is about the people. And loving people is a great hobby, and it's something that I can't really provide everybody because we have like a bistro here. You know, it's a much smaller salon, and there's just not enough room for those kinds of larger things. In fact, I've really had to do a lot of personal work to realize this is better. And I think most of the reason why I have to do work like that is, quite frankly, because of how many people come into my door and go, how come you don't have the crowd like Passio has? How come you don't have Hillman's intensity where we talk about fingering Mary and just all the just stuff that frankly is kind of gross from both of them. But that grossness is what makes people look up and they taste the salt and the sugar of the American diet versus going into the organic section and taking the vegetables home and taking the time to prepare them. It's not for everybody. I'm not even there. I meet people that are way more that way than me. So even I am still on my journey. I don't have the right answer, but it does make it trickier for me to do this and be what other people would call successful, because I'm constantly staying in this smaller format group because it's the only way I can really function and flux as a thinker.
You've maintained this. See, the thing that boggles my mind is that you've basically maintained this salon-like atmosphere where anybody could come to any airship or even in the past in dojos and discuss lots of things, and yet hardly anybody has done so. And I just, it's like I just, for the life of me, I can't take somebody seriously if they don't come to a place that's so easy and has such a long history of maintaining itself compared to other places where it's known as a place where people can talk, but yet they're scared. Like, why don't people ever ask me any questions? They have to contact James True and ask if I'm serious. It's like, why don't you ask me if I'm serious? Am I hard to talk to? Am I like some type of a nutbag? It's like, I guarantee everything I fucking talk about is from either obviously supposition that I'm just thinking about or from my own personal experience. So if anybody wants to know more about that, just feel free to ask me any fucking Wednesday. But,
Thank you, Pi.
That's what. So anyway, I don't want to go off on that. But that just.
So yeah, Pi. That's the thing. Sorry to jump in, but I don't think what's going on like with Brashears or I don't know Passio that well, but it sounds like they're not trying to engage on that level, because for them that's the image they're trying to maintain at this point in time is that image that they've cultivated that got them the audience, and so it's not even really about that. That's why it'd be pointless, I think, to have a debate with people like that, is because they're not trying to do the same thing. Yeah. So like you say, Pa, they're not showing up to actually like when they're called out, let's say, and not even in an aggressive way, but just when saying, hey, look, I genuinely am curious about this, they have to get super defensive because, like you say, they're really just trying to maintain an image, to maintain the audience, and that audience, for what it's worth, they're there too. They're not really trying to stretch themselves yet either.
Yeah, it's. No, go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, someone typed something in chat like, well, when did James and Mark Passio clash? And this is exactly what I mean. It's like, how many times do I have to say this? I think Mark Passio is important. I think he's an important figure. He provides a tent for people to come and find each other. How unclashy can I get here, guys, except for just saying, I believe everything he says. Like, I think unless I say that, I'm clashing with him. I don't think I'm clashing with him. I think if you want to talk about natural law, we can't do it this way, Mark. You can't do it this way. And I don't think he wants to talk about natural law. And you know what? I'm not saying he's wrong because he doesn't want to talk about natural law. I think he's here to put on a concert. And people come to the concert and they find each other. And so that's his duty. His duty is to maintain the same level of passion or more so that people will keep coming to the concert. And that's the sole purpose of any band. It's the sole purpose. It's my purpose too. I want to maintain a passion that you guys will always have in seeking. To me, that's a fun vibe. We can meet on that vibe. So it needs to stay curious. We can't stay too regimented, We're going to need to be real loosey-goosey with our things because we're going to constantly be compassionating things that maybe a month before we were pretty mad or angry at. This is very different, as Brad says. It's very, very different. There's only going to be so many people that even want to have this kind of fusion dining experience, you know. So I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think Jason Breshears has a personal record that, quite frankly, I find it very difficult sometimes to have love for general people when I hear them say, we're tired of being led by pedophiles, but we're going to go follow this guy. I just think if you look at their records, I'm trying to figure out, how is this better? Why would we not just keep listening to people who they are? So yeah, I have personal informational experience with Jason Breshears, really shitty behavior that I've seen from him, and I've done my best to present that in a way where it doesn't look like I'm trashing him, but I'm also being authentic, and I don't think I've done well at it. Ultimately, I need to filter this group out to the people who keep bringing up these people probably just don't need to be here because I don't know how constructive it is, and here's why. If I tell you that I do not disagree with Mark Passio, it's going to look like I've clashed with him. It's going to look like I hate him. It's going to look like this is a me versus him, and it's not. If Mark wanted to talk about natural law and we were to have a Zoom call, and I definitely would, maybe you would see that as me versus him. But I bet you that if you were to watch my behavior, you'd see me react the same way I did to Owen Benjamin when I literally said, no, he's a friend of mine. He's just having a bad day. He'll rub this off. He'll shake this off, and he'll come around again. And if he doesn't come around, so what? I don't care. Because ultimately, I never had a beef with him either. It's just a guy that decided, you know, he's going to trash me and use it for his show. I'm trashing Mark right now using it for my show. I'm not proud of this. I'm sick of having to talk about it. I don't like having to keep saying over and over again, guys, just because I'm criticizing someone's ideas doesn't mean that I'm against them or we clashed or we hate each other. Or, this is the most important, that you should have any kind of judgment that you think is coming from me about you because you watch these people. It's none of my fucking business who you watch. It's none of my fucking business who you like. And the fact that I'm saying sometimes that gives you a taste about tasting something else, I think is unfortunate. I wish it wasn't that way. I don't think that I'm pollinating you by making it more expensive for you to watch Jason Breshears. But if you come in here and you tell me that I have the exact same reputation as Jason Breshears because we're both on YouTube, I'm going to have a fucking problem with it, because if you Google my name, you are not going to see a felony conviction for some pretty horrible shit. You're going to see a long history of a guy that's been every single thing I talk about that's been verified with something that I've done in the past, whether it be run for council, be run for mayor, or do the Chattanooga Tribal Association, or write books, or be a lawyer, or do what I did in college, or join the Navy. All these things are things that I did that led me to learn something. And because I had a good spine when I learned them, I'm able to compile them into this identity that's me. And this identity has a really good reputation. This identity has a long fucking track record of looking at philosophical issues from a very compassionary standpoint and wanting more, not less dialogue. Begging people over and over, can we please have a dialogue about antivirus? And being told by people that are tent standers, that have the tent of this is antivirus, I cannot have a discussion with you, James, because I don't believe in virus either. But here, or I don't believe what I'm saying either, but because I built this tent underneath me where people gather, it would be self-deprecating for me to destroy it. So I see people that have built this, they've planted this telephone pole in the sand. They've been cheered to climb up to the top of the telephone pole, and they fucking made it. They fucking made it. Now they're way the fuck up on top of this telephone pole. The people are still there. Some of them are going home. And what do? I honestly don't know. You know why I don't know? Because I didn't fucking climb on top of the telephone pole. I literally looked around and said, you guys are fucking idiots. I'm not going up there. I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. This is not at all what I'm interested in. And the fact that I was even able to keep doing a show having this is, quite frankly, something I'm pretty proud of. but it's never going to have the same motorboat. It's never going to have the same torque. It's never going to have the same passion behind it as you're seeing from other people, because I'm not willing to go to those places. Maybe I was more in blueprints of mind control. Maybe I've let people down a lot because I don't have that same kind of Gloria Vanderbilt is an evil satanic, and that stuff's fun as fuck. It is. But the more that I think about it, the more I wasn't able to hold that fashion, to hold that belief. That's really all that's happened. My fantasy world of what I simulate is happening in the world just simply doesn't see how this is possible. Doesn't see this idea that there has to be this evil satanic organization, and that the only way we're ever going to survive is that one of the people from that evil satanic organization would have to fall out of it and to have a change, and that we would need to listen to their wisdom now in order to take it down. See, this sounds like a fucking trick to me. This sounds like how you would encourage people to join, is to tell stories like this. And quite frankly, I'm just immune from it. So I don't even enjoy the flux of the majoritarian, of just look at all those people just fucking stomping their feet. That is good energy. Let's go check it out. The thing is that James True's checked out that energy. I've been here 50 years. I've looked at a lot of this energy. It is definitely interesting. But you know what's really fucking dope is come up here. Look at this. Look at these 12 people around a fire. This is some good stuff. We don't want anyone to see us. We don't want a giant crowd. Are you serious? Do you know how hard it took, how long it took for us to find this one little place on the beach, right? Where we could still have the water, we could still have the Milky Way, but we're not surrounded with this redneck Jersey Shore kind of pier of just consciousness that's just going to be hot dog seagulls the whole time. Because that's really what it is. It's a system of mine, and everyone's just attacking this cigarette butt or the hot dog, this one little piece. No one even knows what it is. It's just that because the crowd is there and they're going for it, that it builds excitement, it builds flavor, it builds limbic taste, and it's just not my bag anymore. That's really all it is.
Yep, you have a lot more time. You just have a lot more
That
time
too.
to kind of go into your own, yourself, your inner space. It gets quieter, and you afford yourself what you really deserve is just introspection on, like, how you playing in this place. What's your game? What's your hoop? Hey, we got Maestro's hand up. Hey, Maestro. You can unmute.
Hi.
Hi there. Good to hear you.
I would like to cut the tension, if I may, with my sword that hasn't been sharpened. And say, does anyone else think that Mark Passio kind of looks like and acts like the comic book guy from The Simpsons?
You know what, you guys, I don't even know who Mark Passio is. So quite frankly, this whole time I don't even know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the natural law thing. I've heard his name, but it's just not my scene. So, I mean, quite for this whole dialogue is like, but I know it's important to a lot of people, but it's really not to me. And I'd kind of like to move on.
Yeah,
You know
me
what
too.
I mean? I really would. I mean, this is, I think we can close this out, I don't want to know more about him either. So there we go. I'd rather talk about other things, but I understand there's a lot of passion being felt right now. There's a very strong Saturnian energy, and I think a lot of relationships that, on all levels, for Zerlith, this is his own way, and other people have their own approaches. So this is coming through. It's very powerful. So at the same time, I to dwell, when we're really moving forward here. You know what I mean? It's, it's a lag. And I just want you to pick yourself and just start flying. Work on your wings. Find your own scene, man. Go check out some sky.
And I don't even know enough about his material to even put this much time into it, Renee. Like, I just don't. And it's nothing against him. Yeah, he's all over. You know why I know he's all over? Because everyone keeps hitting me with his name. Hey, here's this. And I check out what I can, but it just doesn't resonate with me. That's all. That's just it. It just doesn't resonate.
There's so much to create right now. There's just so much to create. So I'm over here making my own hoops. Just the art and like Lori, she's having a show coming up, and there's just in our event we just had. Like that's the energy that you can tap into.
Yeah.
Right now, you can go back, and if you want to go for it, but I'm just on this roll going forward. It's it's a roll year. It's the first 25 in the 2000s. This is the first quarter through 100, and I think these are really important marks and yeah. So what's yours? Yeah. Okay. Mike, sure you wanna close out? You have anything else to say other than about who we just I don't even remember the name.
Yeah, I think I meant to say dark lasso or something.
Well,
Um,
Dark Lasso.
Dark lasso. Yeah,
I like that visual.
don't know what that is, but it's something that rhymes with something else.
Ooh, Dark Lasso. That is very. I thanks, Mike Stro. Hey, Laura, your
Maybe
hands up.
that's
What's up?
maybe that's what it
Hey.
was.
I think
Sorry,
so.
it's going to
Appreciate
make
it.
you guys laugh, and perhaps that was the wrong way to go about it.
No, we appreciate it, Mike. Yeah.
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 I tried.
It's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay. Hey, we're all just learning how to skip, right? We're just skipping. I just want to skip forward. That's all. That's all.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Thanks, Mike Stro. Hi, Lori.
Thank you.
Hey, I was kind of thinking about universal cosmic. Like there's this light, law, love, Aquarian, this new way of compassionating the universal breath of life, and the witness, the level of witness. I listen to all kinds of different people, and one of them is Seven Bomar, and he has his own Sybil AI, which is a esoteric AI, and he's got all these ancient texts, ancient books about the divine feminine, before Samaria and all this stuff, and he just started to throw some jewels down in regards to what we're going into right now, and all of this, all of the gods in the ancient times, they died from lack of witness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like kind of thinking about coming into this Aquarian witness, and as I get ready for this art show, it's like I'm losing sleep over the not wanting to have witness when we're talking about all these people becoming gods in the YouTube world over witness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really interesting, I think, like, all right, so there was this time when I was in 2016, I went to Standing Rock. And I was a whole different person then, but I'm glad I went just for the experience of having
Totally
the rainbow tribe show up.
Yeah.
And it was right when Facebook started to be able to have you broadcast live. And it was like there was no networks there. It was very undercovered. And I was reading this Ken Carey book, Starseed Transmissions or Vision, or one of his books. He wrote back in the 70s. And it was like he was writing about this time that we are all these channels. We are channels. We are our own channel. Like, right? Like my little channel doesn't have as much witness as James's channel, that doesn't have as much witness as somebody else's channel. But I think we all have to become our own channel. Like even more so.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like the vibe I'm getting. It's like I did go into the Mark Passio thing before he was rabid, and I don't want to go into that name again. But the level of what universal law, light, love, and light, law, love. There's a universal quantum physics experience of us each having our own channel to source, connecting with each other. Period. But nobody has the rule book. There's no one person that has a rule book. My rule book is different than your rule book. My zetetic experience is different from others. And I love what Pi said about the prejudiced. I'm a coast person. I'm a coast person, and those coast people have this like really arrogant way about the Midwest. And I was like, what? The fact that I get to witness Pies and play in this realm with you guys as my own channel. I'm just really inspired by the people that no one knows. I want more of that, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'm really glad you said that everyone is their own channel. And I really think that Hollywood is very constructive, Lori, because it showed us for like 50 or 60 years, you know, how important witness would be when it just comes to finding ourselves, I think. And so, yeah, I think the superstars of the past will never be seen again simply because the structure and framework of how witness can be distributed now can become more personal. And yeah, I do think ultimately everyone is their own channel. And I do think that that's the future. And this is really what community's always been. It's just that when you create something new like the internet, you end up with a giant flux of new witness coming into it. And it creates this sort of rush on the market, you know, on the witness market, and people adjust to it. And as long as we keep finding ourselves, I think the groups will diminish in size simply because it would be required for a bioconfederacy kind of a situation, you know, where every bioregion is its own voice. And that would look much like a series or system of tribes that are so much smaller than what we might think would be effective. Because when they are smaller in that way, everyone has such a more dynamic ability to find what the soil is teaching them, to find the craftsmanship of that kind of barley or that kind of Creole or that kind of accent or that kind of tobacco from the ground. Whatever it is that area has to say is going to be invigorated to be able to speak that voice, because there's not an overlying majoritarian fascism that would crush it down because it's not part of this giant trend where everybody is staring at it.
yeah, absolutely.
Pie, I see your hands up. You want to unmute?
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, thanks for your warm words, Lori. Anyway, but I was just gonna say that you know, the word plasma, like the ancient Greek plasma, it seems like it could be like one of its definitions could be like veneer, kind of like, you know, to shape or mold in an image. And I was thinking about how, you know, how we're some of us, you know, are friends and have met, you know, and I haven't really met anybody, and to me that's like, you know, I don't know, some modern version of being like a pen pal. And it just seems weird that, but yet I still feel like I'm, you know, like I can be friends. But I just thought that was interesting that, you know, maybe I can gain more of an appreciation for veneer if I call it plasma.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, this is this is part of the growth process, is even learning to consider or veneer as being a natural thing. But it is an epidermis, you know, and an epidermis is technically skin that's going there to die, you know. It's just layers of dead people living on top of less dead people. And then the more you get into the center of your body, the less dead the outer shells are. And you could say the same thing about culture, you know, that different people have different vitality inside of them, and it's based on where they're living on this threshold, so to speak. It's not for everybody, you know. Like there's not an ideal position, I should say. And more importantly, epigenetically, I think that we find different places in this where we can come back and forward So like the sheep that you might think are unawake or stupid or falling for the system honestly could have been the dudes that were super woke when you were a sheep 100 years ago, and that they've put out so much torque, so much psychic torque, that they need a few centuries to be able to take a day off, man, and just enjoy Gaia for a while, enjoy the sun, raise some kids, plant some tomatoes, or God forbid you get out of nightshade and plant pumpkins or whatever it is, and just experience the joy of just being here without being bothered by all the other things. You and I would call that blindness, perhaps, but they actually might call that a well-deserved kind of meditation or a breathing from all the work that they've done before. Because again, the great work is happening. It's really difficult for us to look at each other and insist with the desperation in our eyes that this isn't happening. Because quite frankly, we've never seen more people ever asking this many questions, adopting the word conspiracy theory, saying my body, my choice. All these things are super powerful, positive things that keep happening more and more, faster and faster, day by day.
Yeah, making that sound. It has been a pace, and I like to hearken to just the work we did throughout the Corona Aperture opening as being just what was needed to be here right now. I know a lot of us really kind of went extra. I definitely went extra, and I'm still going extra. And I remember being concerned as the masks were no longer necessary, and things seemed to be like shifting out of that pace to like, where would all that energy go? And like, wait a minute, there's more. And the Aquarian age, and I love James, and I play with I like to say Aquarius. It's a question, right? And so it seems like we have platforms, as Lori was talking about, just our own channels. I have a channel that's been going for like 5 years, and I've never cared about the likes or the subs. It's just really I'm thoughting down my records. Mm-hmm. I have receipts, and I can go back to 2020 and see what I was thinking, and I am, some of the positions I could be like, oh wow, you really fell for that, honey. But at the same time, I'm really proud that I have that, and I want to keep it up. And much like a lot of our, I think the embarrassment is where your strength can be forged the most. So that's what I got. Hi, Lori, how you doing? Love to have you.
So, I think that was really awesome. I have this YouTube channel that I don't have any subs either, but I love that you said that it's a record. And I remember at one point I did this I do not consent video, and I was pretty passionate. And I think that going back and looking at where and how, all these different experiences, I mean, I wouldn't change how I was experiencing it. I mean, it's precious. If you looked at yourself as a child, you would think it's really precious. Yeah. But this was Tuesday. I looked on this bookshelf, and I have a Jungian therapist. I write in a writing group with a group of diverse people, and she had gifted me a whole bunch of stuff because she was getting rid of her office. And one of the books was the Aquarian, the conspiracy of the Aquarian age, or something like that.
Wow, I like it.
I pulled it down off my bookshelf. It was like copyright 1980. And I was like, let me just crack it open. What does it have to say? Oh my God. I forgot it at her house, or else I would have read it to you guys. What was written about what we're experiencing right now. I feel like these books, like I was telling you about the Ken Carey, written in the 70s. And here I am at Standing Rock in 2016, and they're writing about exactly what the technology was able to do when there was no way, there wasn't even internet then. And I was like, how could these, it's like I'm like a time traveler in my own house with things on my bookshelf. So I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, and I know somebody said in the chat that this eclipse, this energy building up for this full lunar eclipse. It's pretty powerful right now. So, all right, that's all I got.
It's good stuff.
Very good.
I
Very
think it
good.
takes.
Yeah.
I think it takes an even stronger spirit, and I don't think I'm one of them, to have a smaller channel. I'm just telling you about me. I'm not saying everyone else is this way, but seriously, when I was first coming out of the closet, or Plato's closet, whatever you want to call this, right? When you're coming into consciousness, I would have been much more in tune with the majoritarian as a crutch for whether or not I was correct, right? So if people were reading my column, it was giving me the necessary strength and confidence that I was thinking correctly. And that was very important to me, and it was necessary. And even though now I'm saying that that's not really what I'm after, I do fully recognize how crucial that was, that I had it at the right time. So all of these things that we use to pull ourselves out, what other technology we have, what other tools that we implement, are creative, necessary, important, and shameful all at the same time, because we learned how to use them so effectively. So we get to look back at our training wheels and go, oh, I can't wait to take these off so no one sees me wearing the training wheels. And once we do, we run as far away from that past as we possibly can. And we end up with these remnants of where we've been that many of us are too ashamed to show, or many of us might want to go back and erase such things. And I think keeping it as a record, not only is not having a lot of witness while you're doing this a sign of great strength, but being able to keep those things there and embrace what you did like, what was important to you. I was all about Pizzagate. I was all about that. I was completely enthralled in Podesta and what was happening in the blackmail economy of what it took to run a country. So after I was able to stay in that circle, gather enough calories, write blueprints of mind control, only then did I have enough calories to start to look at different things and just to start consider, maybe my ground is kind of shaky. Maybe the ground that's full of applause isn't really necessarily the best place to plant my roots, because of this pole story I was telling you about, where I noticed that people in doing what I was doing were having to climb up on top of this pole where they were holding one archetypal position. And I just knew, because of my history, that I was going to be changing positions too much, and that there'd be no way for me to do that. So all of this is our grand training ground. And I'm really glad that YouTube's here. I'm really glad that we have this ability for each of us to have a channel. And I hope more do. And I hope that more find confidence. And just the simple idea of leaving a record is, I think, one of the most powerful pollinating things you could do to this place, right? It's just document your journey.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was such a gift when I just started. It was about this time 2020, and I've been having fun posting some photographs I'd taken on Instagram, and then I was out communing with the sun and came up with Seminole, which is an acronym for Sunrise Exchange Movement in All Life. And I know I combined the N, but I was like, what? That's really wordy. And I, Seminole, and I was like, oh, a Seminole, it's you plant a seed and other people follow. And I'm like, what? And my whole beat, I was all like, let's watch the sunrise together, everyone, come and join me and stretch. So, that was planted then. And then just to see that I wanted to share this, whatever people thought, like I just needed to express something, and to have this easy format presented to you that you can hold in your hand. I do no editing. Yep. I do nothing. I just go and I just channel.
Yeah.
And I just am so thankful for Gaia for this, for GAIA, to be putting this in her children's hands to express themselves and do whatever. Maybe they have to, cancel it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to remember, and that's something too. So yeah. It's just beautiful. It's just this dance we're doing here in the Aquarian age, and I'm a big cheerleader for that. I do cheer for Aquarian. Yep. The Aquarian age is really in my heart, and so yeah, it's I'm just so pleased that we're all here. You know, we're flying high with Dojo Earth.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a beautiful show.
Good
And I'm
stuff, guys.
really
Wow.
glad to be here with you guys on it. I really am. It's I hope we keep going. One day will come and you guys will just simply want to have your own channels and you won't need me, and I want you to know I love you still. It's been great. It's been super doing this as long as we've been able to. So yeah, I feel the world's in really good hands. Seriously, it really is. It's in the best hands it's ever been in. And as much as it's easy to get mad or frustrated with things that you see out there, whenever I come back to this place and just think about the people that I've met, like at 369, I know we're doing great. This is that we are more than covered, I think. So that brings me great comfort and just allows me to apply these calories into other areas of thought, other areas of consideration, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like we have Mike Stroh's hand up. We'll close out with Mike Stroh.
Yeah, let's do that. Good job.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I just thought of an exercise that I think would be perfect to actually end off on. So I don't know if I should. Okay. Basically, I'm going to say something very simple and repeat after me. Okay?
Okay.
Everyone do
Okay.
this. And everyone should unmute also.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So, ha.
Ha.
Ah,
Ha.
Ha.
Ha. Ha. Ha.
Oh, is this a laughing spell, Mike Stroh?
It's working. I love it.
It's a little laughing spell.
Nice, Sarah.
Oh gosh, good
Yeah,
stuff.
good stuff, guys.
It's
Good
not
stuff.
synchronized.
That was great.
Everybody laugh.
Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, what a lovely lift for the end of the flight. All right.
thanks for everything, Renee. Thanks for everything, James.
Thank you, guys.
Oh.
See you next time.
Everybody.
Good night.